All right, so today we're diving into a real head scratcher. Remember the Body Shop, those colorful bottles all about ethical beauty?
Yeah.
Well, they just went bankrupt. And it's a bit of a puzzle, you know? How does a brand built on doing good end up, well, not doing so well?
Yeah.
That's what we're trying to figure out today. We've got some really interesting case studies from Ivy Business School and some articles from Business Leader, that kind of thing.
The thing is, the Body Shop wasn't just a flash in the pan. It was a real icon, a giant in ethical beauty.
Mhm.
And for a while, they were incredibly successful.
Totally. So to get to the bottom of this, we need to go back to the beginning. 1976, Brighton. Anita Roddick
Yeah.
opens the first Body Shop. And it wasn't your typical beauty store, right?
No, not at all. Roddick was a real visionary. I mean, imagine back in the 70s talking about natural ingredients,
Mm.
simple packaging, sustainability. It was revolutionary.
Right,
She
yeah.
wasn't just selling products, she was pushing a whole new way of thinking about business. A force for good, as she called it.
And it worked. People loved those dewberry and grapefruit scents. The She Body Butters, cucumber cleansers. It felt fresh, honest. Totally different from the big impersonal brands out there. Kind of like Lush later on.
Exactly. Both the Body Shop and Lush, they understood something important. Sometimes saying what you won't do can be just as powerful as what you will do. No animal testing, no crazy packaging. That really resonated with people.
And it wasn't just the products. The Body Shop was ahead of the curve in other ways, too. Like they got rid of CVs in their hiring process, focused on personality instead, really forward thinking. But here's where things get a little tricky. Fast forward to 2006. The Body Shop gets acquired by L'Oreal. Wait, L'Oreal,
So,
the company known for, well, not exactly being cruelty-free.
yeah, that was a huge shift. It's super controversial. Even Anita Roddick admitted she had mixed feelings about it. She said she was flattered and seduced by the offer.
I can imagine it's like your favorite indie band signing with a major label. You're happy for them, but also worried they'll lose their edge. Did that happen to the Body Shop?
Well, under L'Oreal, they expanded really quickly. But cracks started to show. Brand satisfaction actually went down. Instead of those unique, naturally sourced products, there was a move towards mass production discounting. It started to feel less like the ethical trailblazer it once was.
And then there's that decision to move production to the Philippines. I mean, really, sure, maybe it's cheaper. But that seems to go against everything the Body Shop stood for. Ethical sourcing and all that.
It really shows how a company's actions can speak louder than words. That move, even if it made financial sense, really hurt the Body Shop's image. It makes you wonder, can a brand stay true to its ethics when it's owned by a giant company with different values?
That's a tough one. But wait, there's more to this story. In 2017, Natura Co. comes along. A Brazilian company, also known for sustainability.
Mm.
They buy the Body Shop from L'Oreal. You'd think that'd be a good fit, right?
Yeah.
Back to its roots.
On the surface, absolutely. Seemed like a perfect match. But Natura had its own struggles, especially in Europe. And they weren't so keen on investing what the Body Shop needed. Then you add the pandemic, the cost of living crisis, hit retail really hard. It was a recipe for disaster.
So in 2023, Natura sells the Body Shop to Aurelius, a private equity firm. And this is where things get really complicated. It's not just that the Body Shop failed, a lot of their UK stores were profitable, but there were losses elsewhere. And Aurelius's financial moves seemed to make things worse. There are even accusations they took money out of the Body Shop before it finally collapsed.
Yeah, this bankruptcy wasn't a simple case of a failing business. It's like a bunch of different factors all tangled together, internal and external stuff. But to really understand how this beloved brand fell so far, we need to dig deeper into those factors, especially the decisions made by all these different owners.
All right, so we've got ownership changes, financial struggles, a global pandemic thrown in for good measure. I'm still trying to grasp why the Body Shop specifically struggled. Was it just bad luck? Or were there deeper issues at play?
Well, to understand that, we need to look at something called the Wheel of Retailing. It basically describes how retail businesses change over time. They start innovative and unique, but as they grow, they can become complacent, lose their edge, and eventually their relevance. It's a cycle a lot of brands fall into.
So you're saying the Body Shop got stuck on this retail merry-go-round.
Hmm.
But how does that apply to them? Did their products just get old and boring?
Exactly. Their whole thing, natural ingredients and ethical sourcing, groundbreaking in the 70s. But it became the norm. They didn't seem to innovate fast enough to stay ahead. Think of it like a band with a hit album trying to make the same sound over and over again. Eventually, people want something new.
Right, like sticking with cassette tapes when everyone's streaming music.
Mhm.
You're going to get left behind.
Exactly. And the competition changed drastically, too. Suddenly, you had all these copycat brands popping up, all claiming to be ethical and sustainable. The Body Shop wasn't the only game in town anymore.
So they were getting squeezed from both sides. Cheaper, trendy brands on one side, and high-end ethical luxury brands on the other.
Exactly. And that's where those strategic errors we mentioned become really important, like the lack of investment in e-commerce. While competitors were building fancy websites, engaging on social media, the Body Shop seemed stuck in the past.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine any successful brand these days without a strong online presence,
Yeah.
especially for younger consumers.
Absolutely. And it's not just having a website. It's about creating engaging content, building a community, telling your brand's story online. The Body Shop seemed to miss that boat.
And then there was that issue with Natura's cash management system. I remember reading about that in the Ivy case study. Basically, all their subsidiaries had to send their cash to a central account, made it tough for them to pay their bills on time. Didn't that create chaos?
It certainly didn't help. Imagine running a global business where your local branches are constantly struggling. It stops them from responding to local needs, investing in new things, even just keeping the lights on. A well-intentioned policy, but with unintended consequences.
Right, and then you add Aurelius to the mix. And there's, shall we say, creative financial strategies. It's like pouring gasoline on a fire. But there's the human element, too. All those ownership changes, leadership shuffles. How can a company keep a clear identity with all that turmoil?
It's like building a house and changing the blueprints constantly. No consistency, no clear vision. And that shows in everything. Products, marketing, customer service. It creates confusion inside and outside the company. And ultimately, that erodes trust.
Okay, so we've got stagnation, competition, strategic missteps, and internal turmoil. Sounds pretty bleak, but is there any hope for the Body Shop? Can they be revived?
Well, that's the million-dollar question. And it's not an easy one to answer. But some experts believe they can be saved. Of course, it would require a major overhaul.
Okay, lay it on me. What would it take to bring the Body Shop back from the brink?
Well, for starters, they need to appeal to more people. Partnering with other retailers, maybe setting up shop within bigger stores, could help them reach a wider audience, and offering more affordable products could attract those budget-conscious shoppers who still want ethical options.
Okay, so meeting customers where they are,
Yeah.
literally and figuratively. What else?
They need to totally revamp the in-store experience. One expert called it Boulder stores. Imagine interactive displays, personalized advice, and immersive experience, something that reflects their values and looks modern. Remember those old Body Shop stores? Kind of dark, cluttered.
Oh yeah, lots of dark wood and tiny sample bottles. Not exactly Instagram worthy.
Exactly. They need spaces that people want to spend time in, spaces that are visually appealing and on-trend.
And of course, there's the digital piece. Building a solid e-commerce platform.
Yeah.
Creating engaging content for social media. Basically, catching up with the times.
Absolutely essential. They need to connect with younger generations where they are. And that's increasingly online. Think TikTok campaigns, influencer partnerships, collaborations with ethical fashion brands. It's about being visible, relevant, and speaking their language.
Wow, sounds like a huge undertaking.
Oh.
But if they can do it, could the Body Shop actually regain its iconic status?
It's definitely possible. But it'll take strong leadership, a clear vision, and a deep understanding of today's consumer. They need to stay true to their values, but also evolve to meet changing demands. It's a delicate balance.
So, holding on to what made them special, while also adapting to the times. Sounds like walking a tightrope.
It is, and a lot of brands are struggling with that. But the Body Shop's journey, the good and the bad, offers valuable lessons for any business, especially those focused on ethics.
Let's talk about those lessons then. What are the key takeaways here for other businesses trying to navigate this crazy world?
First and foremost, staying relevant. The world changes, tastes change. What was innovative 20 years ago might be ordinary today. Companies need to constantly adapt and evolve.
It's like they say, evolve or die, right?
Yeah.
Especially now, things move so fast.
Exactly. And secondly, you need a clear, consistent strategy. All those ownership changes, leadership shuffles we talked about, they created confusion, hurt the brand's identity. Having a clear vision and sticking to it, even when it's tough, is essential.
So even when you're facing challenges, don't forget who you are and what you stand for.
Absolutely. And finally, balancing profit with ethical principles. The Body Shop's early success was built on doing good. When they strayed from those values, people noticed. It's a reminder that authenticity matters.
Yeah, you can't just slap an ethical label on something and call it a day. Consumers, especially younger ones, are smart. They can see through that.
Exactly. They want to support brands that share their values, but they also want quality, affordability, a good experience. It's about walking the walk, not just talking the talk.
Well said. So what do you think? Can the Body Shop use these lessons to turn things around? Or have they missed their chance?
That's the tough question. I think there's potential for a comeback, but it's going to take a massive effort. They need to reconnect with their core values, offer products that are ethical and desirable, create a shopping experience that's engaging and memorable.
And let's not forget about the whole online world. They've got a lot of catching up to do.
Absolutely. A strong digital presence is crucial for any brand today, especially for one trying to reconnect with a younger, more digitally savvy generation.
Oh, so it's not impossible, but it's definitely an uphill battle.
Yeah.
What do you think? Will the Body Shop rise again? Or will they just become another cautionary tale?
Only time will tell. But their journey offers valuable insights for all of us, whether they make a comeback or not.
So, to our listeners, we leave you with this. What do you think the future holds for the Body Shop? Can they rise from the ashes? Or is this the end? And what lessons can we all learn from their journey? The highs and the lows. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
So, to understand that, we need to consider a concept called the wheel of retailing. It basically describes how retail businesses evolve over time. They start out innovative and unique, but as they grow, they can get complacent, lose their edge, and eventually their relevance. It's a cycle that a lot of brands fall victim to.
So you're saying the Body Shop got, stuck on this retail merry-go-round. But how does that apply to them specifically? Did their product lines just get, stale or something?
Yeah, exactly. Their focus on natural ingredients, ethical sourcing, which was groundbreaking in the 70s, it became industry standard. It's like they didn't innovate quickly enough to stay ahead of the curve. Think about it like a band. Releasing a hit album and then trying to replicate that same sound over and over again, eventually the audience wants something new.
Right. It's like sticking with the same old cassette tape when everyone else has moved on to streaming.
Precisely. And don't forget, the competitive landscape changed drastically too. All of a sudden, tons of copycat brands were popping up, all claiming to be ethical and sustainable. The Body Shop wasn't the only game in town anymore.
So they were getting squeezed from both sides. Cheaper, trendy brands on one side, and high-end luxury brands jumping on the ethical bandwagon on the other.
Exactly. And that's where those strategic errors we mentioned become really crucial. The lack of investment in e-commerce, for example, while competitors were building sleek websites, engaging with customers on social media.
Right.
The Body Shop seemed stuck in the dial-up era.
Yeah, it's almost impossible to imagine a successful retail brand these days.
Right.
Without a strong online presence. It's
Yeah.
where everyone is, especially younger consumers.
Absolutely. And it's not just about having a website. It's about creating engaging content, building a community, telling your brand's story in a way that resonates online. The Body Shop just didn't seem to get that.
And then there was that whole issue with Natra's centralized cash management system. I remember reading about that in the Ivy case study. Basically, all the subsidiaries had to send their cash to a central account.
Yeah.
Which made it tough for them to, pay their bills on time. Didn't that create absolute chaos?
It certainly didn't help. Imagine trying to run a global business. When your local branches are constantly struggling to make ends meet, it stops them from responding to local market needs, investing in new initiatives, or even just keeping the lights on. A well-intentioned policy, but with unintended consequences,
Right. And then you throw in Aurelius and their, shall we say, creative financial strategies.
Yeah.
It's like adding fuel to the fire. But there's also that human element here. All those ownership and leadership changes. How can a company maintain a clear identity with that much turmoil at the top?
It's like trying to build a house while constantly changing the blueprints. There's no consistency, no clear vision, and that's reflected in everything, from product development to marketing to customer service. It creates a sense of confusion, both internally and externally, and ultimately, that confusion erodes customer trust.
Okay, so we've got stagnation, increased competition, strategic missteps, and a whole lot of internal turmoil. It's starting to paint a pretty bleak picture. But is there any hope for the Body Shop? Can they be revived?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It's not an easy one to answer. But there are experts who believe the Body Shop can be salvaged. Of course, it's going to require a pretty radical overhaul.
All right, give it to me straight. What would it take to bring the Body Shop back from the brink?
Well, for starters, they need to widen their appeal, partnering with other retailers. Maybe even creating concessions within larger stores could help them reach a broader audience. And offering more affordable product lines could attract those price-sensitive consumers who are looking for ethical options without breaking the bank.
Okay, so meeting the customers where they are, both literally and figuratively. What else?
They need to completely revamp the in-store experience. Think Boulder stores, as one retail expert put it. Interactive displays, personalized consultations, an immersive experience that reflects the brand's values and appeals to a modern aesthetic. Remember those older Body Shop stores? Kind of dark and cluttered.
Oh yeah, lots of dark wood and tiny sample bottles. Not exactly Instagram worthy.
Exactly. It's all about creating spaces that people actually want to spend time in. Spaces that are visually appealing and aligned with current trends.
And of course, there's the digital piece. Building a robust e-commerce platform. Creating engaging content for social media. Basically catching up with the 21st century.
Absolutely essential. They need to connect with younger generations where they live,
Yeah.
which is increasingly online. Think TikTok campaigns, influencer partnerships, collaborations with ethical fashion brands. It's about being visible, being relevant, and speaking the language of today's consumers.
Wow, it sounds like a massive undertaking. But if they pull it off, could the Body Shop actually regain its iconic status?
It's certainly possible, but it's going to require strong leadership, a clear vision, and a deep understanding of the modern consumer. They need to stay true to their core values while evolving to meet changing demands. It's a delicate balance.
So holding on to what made them special, while also adapting to the times. It sounds like a tightrope walk.
It is, and it's a walk that many brands are struggling with. But the Body Shop's journey, both its successes and its stumbles, offers valuable lessons for any business, especially those built on ethical principles.
So let's talk about those lessons.
Mm.
What are the key takeaways here for other businesses trying to navigate this ever-changing landscape?
First and foremost, the importance of staying relevant. The world changes, consumer preferences change. What was innovative 20 years ago might be commonplace today. Companies need to constantly adapt and evolve to stay ahead of the curve.
It's like they say evolve or die, right?
Yeah.
Especially in today's fast-paced world.
Exactly. And secondly, the need for a clear and consistent strategy. All those ownership changes and leadership shuffles we talked about, they created confusion and undermined the brand's identity. Having a clear vision and sticking to it, even when things get tough, is essential.
So even when you're facing challenges, don't lose sight of who you are and what you stand for.
Absolutely. And finally, the importance of balancing profit with ethical principles. The Body Shop's initial success was built on a genuine commitment to doing good. When they strayed from those values, consumers noticed. It's a reminder that authenticity matters.
Yeah, you can't just slap an ethical label on something and expect people to buy it. Consumers, especially younger ones, are savvy. They can spot a fake a mile away.
Exactly. They want to support brands that align with their values, but they also want quality, affordability, and a great experience. It's about walking the walk, not just talking the talk.
Well said. So what do you think are these lessons the Body Shop could use to turn things around? Or have they missed their chance? Okay, so we've really gone through it all. The Body Shop's incredible rise, their series of stumbles, and that long road ahead if they want to make a comeback. Looking back at everything we've uncovered, what would you say was the most critical misstep, the thing that really sent them on this downward spiral?
You know, it's hard to pick just one, but if I had to choose, I'd say the sale to L'Oréal was a turning point.
Okay.
It felt like a real departure from those core values. The things that made the Body Shop so unique, sure, they grew rapidly under L'Oréal, but it seems like it came at a cost. Brand authenticity.
Right.
It's a cautionary tale, really, about putting growth ahead of your values, losing sight of what made you special.
It really makes you think, doesn't it, about how companies can balance making money with staying true to their ethics, especially in such a competitive business environment.
Yeah, it's tough. There's no easy answer, no magic formula. But the Body Shop's story, it really highlights the importance of playing the long game. Building a truly ethical, sustainable business. It takes time, commitment, and a willingness to stick to your mission, even when you're facing pressure to compromise.
It's about more than just the bottom line.
Absolutely. It's about investing in your people, creating products that genuinely benefit everyone, consumers, the planet, building a business that stands for something.
So can the Body Shop actually come back from this? Or is it, the end of an era? What do you see in their future?
Well, I can't predict the future, but I do think they have the potential to turn things around. It won't be easy. But if
Hmm.
they can learn from their mistakes, reconnect with those core values, and adapt to today's market, I think there's hope. They
Hmm.
need to offer products that are both ethical and desirable, create shopping experiences that are engaging and memorable, and build a strong online presence,
Yeah.
especially for those younger generations.
It's a lot to tackle.
It is, but not impossible.
It would be incredible to see them back on top, leading the way for ethical, sustainable business.
It would be a powerful message, proof that doing good can be good for business, that you don't have to choose between profits and principles.
Well said. So, to our listeners, we'll leave you with this. What do you think the future holds for The Body Shop? Can they rise from the ashes? Or is this the final chapter? And what lessons can we all learn from their journey? The triumphs, the stumbles. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.